Hi, welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Machismo Eugene here. Please like, subscribe, share the video if you found it helpful. Give it a thumbs up and pass it on if you believe someone else would benefit from it. I would appreciate that. Well, guys, narcissists are always viewed as good worker, decent people. You can't really say anything bad about a narcissist to the untrained eye, to those who are unawake. They will in turn pledge allegiance with the narcissist against you, the one who has logic, the one who's able to introspect you, the one who's able to do critical thinking, the one who actually can see the ruse. You know, so when you are awakened, it's even worse. Before you awakened, you had stronger intuition than the average person to begin with. That is why you are and were able to utilize your intuition. And because you have strong intuition and you don't dumb it down, for the most part, that was your saving grace. Because when things start going left, a lot of us will make a million excuses in the world and never ever see the true reason behind the foolishness. So at work, you know, and I know, if anyone attests to this, leave it in the comment. At the workplace, the narcissist somehow can stay at a job unscathed. They can do some things that you and I normally would get written up for or immediately terminated. Not that we would want to do them, but if by chance, if we happen to commit an infraction or break a policy, something, trivial, you and I would get written up about that. And they would make it a big deal. The powers that be, the administration. And I've found that narcissists of a feather flock together. You would get written up and they would make you, in many cases, feel like you had committed a cardinal sin, like you had committed capital murder. And they would hover over you with that offense, as small as it might be. Even though it's a policy, you readily accept punishment, the write-up, the layoff, the 2 days off without pay, whatever it is, you're able to stomach it, even though you see coworkers, namely narcissists in most cases, get away with things 10 times worse. And back to, you cannot say anything bad about a narcissist without having people pledge allegiance with that narcissist. It's because they have planted this seed of illusion so well, and it's caught root in a lot of people's hearts and minds, unlike you, the empath, the chosen one. When they were lying to you before you even woke up, you knew something didn't feel right. You could look in their eyes and tell they were lying. See, a lot of us who are awakened to narcissist personality disorder, we're not simps. We were never simps. Even when they got over on us, they thought we were simps. We were able to catch them in their deceitfulness shortly after they tried to deceive us. If you look back, you knew a person had done you wrong. But what we tend to do, and we did, we overlooked it, passed. We gave them a pass on it. Because what they counted on was our moral stamina taking the front seat as opposed to calling them out on it. We more or less, if they owed us money, we just say, I ain't gonna worry about it, we'll forget about it. And we probably wouldn't even grumble to anyone about it. And if you did, most often you grumbled to a narcissist who ran back and told that person. Then the person who owed you money would confront you like you don't have a right to be talking about what they did to you. And this is in times past. And you found yourself saying, oh, I didn't mean it that way. I was just telling the person, da, 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 you did owe me. You stood your ground. And this was back in the day because a lot of us Empath Awaken, we're not lenders and we're not borrowers. Person to person, that is. I mean, we get loans. And a lot of us are not just hoodwinked to just go and get all kind of loans and all kinds of debt. If we're wise and we're elevating our vibration and our intuition is like we're raising that, we know that a lot of times these entities that are ready to lend you money and, borrow money, we know that it's nothing more than a trap. And so you, the good-natured person, is always the one that gets last place. But there's no mystery why God said the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Because the narcissist is always trying to be first. And they end up in the back of the line every time. It may not seem like it to you, but they're at the back of the line. They're at the ass end of the line. They're always playing catch up. And how they get back seemingly up to speed with you, visually, it's an illusion. Because they are riding the back of other people. They're hitchhikers, psychological hitchhikers. I've said this before. They're psychological rapists. They're psychological demons. And so they don't get anything on their own merit. And at the workplace is no exception. So they give you the illusion, or the people that are trained by them but have untrained eyes. They give them the illusion like they're a good worker and they're a loyal worker. They will be on time, that narcissist. They will be consistent about a lot of things. And I'm going to show you why they are. They're robotic. They're not good workers. They're robotic workers. And if anyone would pay attention, you would see they're on a loop. This is why a lot of them, if not most of them, they don't want to ever be told what to do. They get in these positions, and once they get up the ranks in that job, it's more or less where the superiors, supervisors and managers, whatnot, they just leave them to themselves. They don't ever call them out on anything. They just let them be. They let them do what they're supposed to do, with mistakes and infractions included. But again, you commit an infraction, they would draw mad attention to that matter, because what is happening is the higher ups are trying to use you to gain, I want to say credibility, but not credibility. They're using you much like that narcissist who they think is a good worker. They are using you to shine towards that narcissist. So what they're doing is scratching each other's back. A lot of them are codependents that are scratching the narcissist's back and vice versa. So they're doing give and take and take, if you will. And here you are in the middle. You're a neutral party. You don't play in any reindeer games. And they sense it and they know it. And they know that you're not that one. You're not pliable. They can't mold you into their little realm. And so what they do, they want to pin the tail on the empath. They use you as a little piñata for their little amusement. It's fine and well, though, because guess what? Your stamina given to you by God made you to be built for this. The things you went through in life and have gone through in life and will go through in life possibly, the narcissist could never dare. They could never dare. They are actually running from consequence. They are running from the reality that they are less than, that they are inadequate, that they are substandard. They're running from this. You and I, we can face life with mistakes and successes, losses and wins. This is what gives you balance in life. Because if you didn't have that balance, you'd be either too cocky or you would dig yourself in a hole and couldn't pull yourself out of it mentally and emotionally. So God has afforded you, the empath and the chosen one, a little bit of both. Accepting what you've done wrong, owning up to accountability, celebrating when you succeed, talking matter of fact about your accomplishments and your abilities, yet and still at the same time able to be very clear and aware of your shortcomings. But the shortcomings don't hold you back. Narcissists never confront their shortcomings. They mask them with seemingly their successes and their grandiose war stories. And they'll have a circle around them constantly, cheerleading for them, telling them or making them feel or giving them the sense of how great they are. But you and I know how great they aren't. We knew it before we woke up, but it was just not that time to really make it make sense. I was at Waste Management today. I got there maybe 15 minutes before closing. And I'm normally always late going. I almost didn't go. Had some stuff in my dump trailer and most of it was frozen to the bottom. So I kind of lingered. I got back to the scales from dumping my trash and waste, debris, construction debris, whatever you want to call it. I got back to the scales at 2 p.m. on the dot. And there are two scales. And the one that I went back over was the one that I went on when I entered, which was on the left. And there was another truck on the right with a dump trailer. He was at the window talking to the lady, making his approach, which is when they give you a ticket, they take a small amount of a deposit and you dump your stuff and you come back around and you go back to that window, give them that receipt that they gave you and they look at it and they tabulate what you either owe in addition or they give you a refund if your weight is not as substantial to what you gave them as a deposit. This is how it works at most DPWs or waste managements, whatever you guys got in your city for rubbish. And so he was an Hispanic guy, but it doesn't matter the gender or the race. But just for emphasis, he was a short Hispanic guy. I go to the window and give my ticket, or actually I go to the window, he's in front of me because there's only one individual working there on a Saturday. And they were there by themselves. This individual, female, Caucasian, is a full-blown narcissist. I've known it since the day she started there. She is so egotistical. She is such a snot. She is such an ass. And this is not sugarcoating it. This is calling it. And if you knew her, or if you happened to upon her, the first observation, you would concur what I'm saying. It's one of those kind of narcissists. New at the job, but already running the show. They're control struck. So back to the story, she has the Hispanic guy, he's at the window, and I hear her say through the glass, we close at 2:00. Now, mind you, when you come through this gate, there's a big gate, maybe 100 yards prior to coming around to the scales. So if that gate is closed, that is technically an indicator that they are closed and you cannot gain access in there. But as long as those gates are open and you're able to drive through, they're open. No matter what time it may be, because normally the employee would be at that gate. And I'm saying this technically, it could be a 2:00, 2:05, and technically, if you're being technical, they are closed. But again, there's a little bit of a grace thing there, because if you're allowed access and entry into that gate that's normally closed around 2:05, you're out of gas. You're not getting in, obviously, and it doesn't matter how you beg. I've been unfortunate a couple of times in life over the years, maybe 2 times, maybe, and I was told that they were closed, and I had no choice but to turn around. This guy is at the window, and as she's saying, we close at 2, I'm thinking she's letting him be aware of that for future references in just a cordial way, because she's a straight ass. She's got a real snotty attitude. She talks to everybody like they're a kid, and she is a kid. And so and he says, I have roofing material on here and I need to get it off because I start on another roof tomorrow, which is on a Sunday, and roofers tend to work on weekends too. And roofing is a big deal. Without that dump trailer, he's dead in the water. He cannot even rip that roof off because he has nowhere to put the debris. And to put it on the ground, the stuff is heavy. You're having to handle it twice. You get the picture, guys. For all you guys don't do roofing, I'm just taking you along. Pretend you don't know what I'm talking about, roofers. And so I look over at his trailer when she says we close at 2:00, and he begins to say that, I have a job to do tomorrow and I have to get this debris off. I look at his trailer. I can smell the rubber, even from the where we're standing, and we're like 50 yards off. But he drove in on this one of 4 tires on the trailer. It's a double axle. One of the tires, he had driven on it probably at least a couple of miles. And it had, the rubber was beginning to heat up. And I noticed it was flat off of the rim pretty much. And with that roofing material on there, he truly was going to stand a chance of bending the rim. And so she basically rejected his money. And not only was she just saying we close at 2:00 to give him a cordial reminder in the future, she literally turned the lights off where she was standing in the little cubicle there, and just as nonchalantly looked him in the eye as he walked away. And I gave her my ticket, and think I owed a couple more bucks on top of what I had given her as a deposit. I didn't speak to her. I didn't say anything. She said, have a nice day. No, she said, thank you or something. That's like the robotic thing. Thank you, thank you. And I think they got on her case early on because she had so many complaints. And so she does say thank you in a cold, mechanical way. I look to the guy as he's walking to his truck, and, it broke my heart at that instant. I didn't realize my emotions were going to get that strong. And it literally almost brought me to tears. How this child-minded young adult was, under no uncertain terms, allowing this guy to go through. And he was already on the scale. He was inside of the facility, past the gate that was open. She could have made an exception, and they often do. They don't. It's not even making an exception. As long as the person has gained entry into past the gates, that is their indication that that person is able to come through and dump his trash, because they have someone up there that would close the gates, and that person thereafter would have to come back another day. And it works that way. Nobody ever complains about, oh, you let that guy through. If you don't make it there before those sliding gates close, and even in those instances, I have seen a couple of these guys make an exception. But he was inside. And so as he got in his truck, he was driving ahead of me, and I could hear the tire doop, 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 with probably 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 pounds worth of shingle debris in that dump trailer. And so I have tools on board. I have an impact wrench. I keep them in each vehicle. And every now and again, I'll help somebody that's disabled on the highway. But I don't do it as much as I used to. Just so dangerous on the road. But I told the guy that was at the gate, I yelled out my window and I say, ask that guy ahead of me to pull over after he goes through the gate. I'd like to help him change his tire. And so he did what the attendant at the gate asked him to do. And I pulled past so the guy could close the gate. And I began to proceed to help him take this tire off. I had a jack and everything. And I also additionally told him that I would I would let him follow me to a dump site, because I have a friend that allows me to dump debris as long as it doesn't have glass and a lot of, if it doesn't have trash in it, if it's like shingles, rocks, or any kind of green waste, no matter what. He has a big landfill, and he allows me to do that. And so for free. And so I was going to actually let this guy follow me after I put the tire on. So I had a spare tire on the spare tire mount on my dump trailer. He didn't have one in that same said mount. It was empty. And so it was fortunate for him. I had a 6-lug tire, and his dump trailer was 6-lug. It was identical trailers made by different manufacturers, same size tire and everything. And so I did, however, I told him I'll have to charge you for this tire, this spare tire, but I won't charge you to put it on, and I won't charge you to follow me to dump this debris, because you can do it free. And so we got the tire on and everything. I gave him a price for the tire. It wasn't brand new, but nearly brand new. So I gave him a price of probably 2/3 of what it would cost. And it was already mounted, so I think it was a fair price. I mounted it on there for him. He let the jack down. I put it back on my truck, and I told him to follow me. So we get a certain amount of distance up the road, and we get to a stoplight. I turn left. He doesn't turn left. He goes straight. I turn around because he didn't speak a whole lot of English, but he understood to some degree. I turn around, make a U, and I go and pretty much try to chase him. And I catch up with him. And I'm telling him, follow me. I'm doing it with my hand. And he follows me for a few miles on the main highway. And all of a sudden we go around the bend, and he veers and goes another way. So it's only my guess that he truly didn't understand that part of what I was going to help him with. Not just the tire, I was going to assist him in getting rid of this debris, so he'd have a empty dump trailer come morning, so he wouldn't have to wait until Monday to finish his job. But he obviously didn't understand me or felt a little leery following me. I don't know. But my bigger point to that, guys, is that weighed on me. And I was going to make a whole separate videos about empath. Don't ever feel guilty about your empathy, especially when it comes to feeling empathetic towards narcissists. And but I'll do it here. Even though this woman is a full-blown narcissist, my heart was heavy for her, because I'm going to tell you what we all know as empaths awaken, who have this education and this insight of who these individuals are. We know it doesn't end well for them. We know they have a hard way to go. And when it starts going bad for them, it goes bad quick. I could name a few narcissist individuals I was involved with in either relationships or intimate partners in times past, and I've crossed paths with a lot of them. And I'm going to tell you, they're not doing well. They're not doing well at all. And a lot of us content creators who sit here and talk before you about this, if you notice, if you care to notice, and a lot of times whether you care to notice or not, it is going to be undeniable. You're going to cross paths with the narcissist from a past. And they're not going to be doing well. I don't care how propped up they are. I don't care how much mascara they got on. I don't care what kind of car they're riding in. I don't care what kind of house they own. I don't care what kind of job they got. I don't care what financial status they have. Observe, and observe with a real disciplined observation. Not a judgmental observation. Just casually observe. They're not doing good. They're not doing good at all. But I'm glad I was able to be a help to this guy. And this is what we're here for, guys. We're not here for the narcissist. God is here for the narcissist first and foremost. But until they accept God as being the ruler and the one who's running the show, we're not here for the narcissist. And there's a strong chance that they'll never, never adhere to God's principles in life. I don't know of anyone that can tell me of any narcissist that has turned over a new leaf. But we feel bad for the fact that they have no chance in hell because of their stubbornness, because of their arrogance, because of all the stuff they've done to so many people, both known and unknown. God is keeping a list. And when all hell break loose on them, man, you don't even really want to be around them. It saddens the empath to see it. But it saddens us because in our mind, we're like, you didn't have to do it. You didn't have to do it. You had an opportunity to change. And it reminds me of a scripture on my way out of this video here. I'm paraphrasing this. I think it was a guy went and died and he ended up in the abyss. And he was so hot, burning and thirsty, and he looked back and he saw people and he was like, could you but dip your finger in water and put it on my tongue? Because he was so thirsty. And basically they were like, we can't do nothing for you, man. Like Flavor Flav, try to help you all I can, but I can't do nothing for you, man. And so it went on, and I'm paraphrasing, guys. You go look up the story. Because he could have done what he was trying to do now, which was he could have been humble before he came to that point. Now he was trying to use humility. This is a picturesque example of a narcissist. When they get in a tight spot, they'll say and do everything you would want them to do until they get some get right. And they right back to their nasty ways. And so since he didn't get the water on his tongue, he's like, dip his the thing on his tongue. He said, well, can you just tell my family that they don't want no parts of this? And, just tell them this is not the place to be. Get their mind right. And so this is what a narcissist would probably try to do, warn somebody else, but they would never, ever see the forest for the trees in their own life. They always want to be seen as do-gooders. It's all an illusion. That being said, bless.